One. Hi, this is Sarah from sarayip.com, Facebook, The Numbers Queen, and Instagram, sarayip1111. And I am here with the one and only, most amazing, wild and fearless Tiarnie, astrologer. Full stop.
Okay.
So hi Tiarnie, thanks for agreeing to be part of the 1111 Numerology Fund.
Very excited to be here. Now that we're all ready to roll, it's amazing. We've been having a very fun time.
It's certainly been an epic adventure getting us both in the same place at the same time because of all the parallel lives that we've got going on.
Yeah. Yeah, the weirdest, wildest stuff going on with each of our computers and saying things I've never had before, not hearing each other. It has been hilarious. But look at us, we're laughing and it's all good. And we're both fully here present to do this. So it's amazing.
I can only think that this must be a very important call. You know, for that amount of spiritual interference and ups and downs, not being able to hear you, you couldn't hear me, our screen disappeared, the computer practically walked out of the room and went on a holiday. That is a sign that this is a call that must be made. And I wonder if that'll be the theme of our talk today, is that, you know, this kind of thing often happens just before a big breakthrough. There's a level of confusion or frustration just before the juicy bit. And that's when a lot of people give up. And that would be such a shame, because humanity is going through the frustration and craziness right now. But anyway, let's get back to you. So how do you like to introduce yourself, Tiarnie?
So I'm Tiarnie and I don't have labels. And I just am, realistically. But I do have been working with astrology since I was 9. That's my cosmic language, the language I've been speaking for actually, you know, this lifetime at 9, but definitely many, many lifetimes ago. I've been a teacher and an astrology witch. And yeah, you know, it's just a legacy for me to want to ground in people to come back to who they are. And for me, astrology and numerology, as you know, such incredible tools, because they're always us. You know, it's not the seeking outside, it's actually in our name, it's in our birth date, it's in our time of birth, it's in our chart. You know, it's all, we have it all within us. And so when people are reminded of that, they then have the power, you know, and that's what I'm all about, that empowering you to come back home to the self through astrology and, you know, and you know, and our birth date. Numerology in our name, which is full of numbers as well. So numbers are just bloody everything, realistically.
Music,
as you know.
Music to my ears.
Yes.
So as you can see, Tiarnie is very good at getting people into astrology and then creating that burning desire to just like make it your whole life. And I suppose I like to think I perform that same duty with the 1111s. So it's no surprise that when we attempted to make this chat happen, it kind of set off fire alarms all over the planet. But at the same time, you know, I think something good could happen from us sharing some space today. So let's see, I've got some questions for you. Now, we know from your date of birth that you are a Master 33/6 life path, which I call the visionary.
Yes.
And numbers in the system I use do correlate with chakras, so it's super easy to learn the system. So, of course, the 6 is the third eye, and then the third chakra is the solar plexus. And so this is a lot about having double gutsiness that allows you to bring dreams into reality. It's about being a whistleblower, a big mouth. One of the totems for a 33 is a pelican, which has a 33 vibration. Pelicans are known to carry small dogs off when they are hungry.
Yes, I would do that. I'm a Taurus. I've got lots of Taurus. I will eat your dog if I have to, if I'm not hungry. I do have a very big mouth. Like my mouth is like takes up most of my face. So yes, I am a big mouth.
Now, apart from that, because I'm super visual, 3 is also the boobs and the butt. Yeah. And so the 3 is literally all of the fun things in life, like the word sex has a 3 energy, and 3s are the most cheeky. So you are like Miss Double Cheek. And then, of course, if you turn the 3s around, they make a butterfly, they make a 4-leaf clover. And 33 energy is quite famous / notorious because they do get away with a lot of things. Very charismatic, very intelligent, very playful. So it's quite a life path to carry. The master number, of course, means that double level of pressure and potential. So what's it like being a 33, Tiarnie?
Oh, it's so interesting just hearing all of that. I love listening to you. You know, we met on social media and I followed you for ages. I've seen you on, TV and listened to you and on the radio and, love your numerology interpretations. They're so good and so valuable. And yeah, listening to all of that is so apparent because it just blends with astrology so well too,
Oh, good.
When it comes to sex, I've got a lot of planets in my 8th house, which is the house of sex and little things like that. But getting away with things, I had my palm read by a master palm reader in Melbourne like 2 decades ago. He would put the hand in the ink and read the ink.
Yeah.
And, he was very old. So he was about 70 back then. I think he would have been passed away by now. But he just went, you get away with a lot and you get what you want. Like you always get what you want. And I'm like, I do. And, he talked about my, my little finger, because my little finger drops really far down.
Yeah, the dropped little finger setting, yeah.
Yeah, and he just talks about because I talk so much, and even the 3 is a very communicative planet. So I see it as the Gemini as well. So it's very chatty and talky, which is the double 3. And yeah, I think that it's so incredible how it just weaves with the chart so well. But everything you've said, even just the whole pelican thing, like when I walk around my lake, like there's pelicans in the lake and I love pelicans. Like I really, I just love that because I'm a wordsmith, but I love how you've got the words and the places and the locations for all of the numbers, because that's why you're the queen of this, right? And yeah, you shared with me years ago around locations, which I know that you might talk about today as well. So I'll wait for that to come up. But that really helped. Like that was a real eye opener for me for where I did feel, aligned and where I don't feel aligned. So really cool. But yeah, I mean, with the communication stuff, I also have Jupiter and Saturn trine my Mercury. So again, there's this element of me being able to communicate and get away with things. And I'm not because it's because of the way that I can talk and, it's my superpower. And it's that the 3s are the 33s that as well. And yeah, I mean, I love master numbers have been around me my whole life. And I said to you earlier before we jumped on, before all the craziness happened, because look, we've cleared that now. It's all magical, right? Because we're magic. That the 9 had been very strong for me because of my name and having lots of I's and R's. So a lot of 9 energy. And then I actually was, seeing myself as a 15-6 for a while because I did the numerology different. And then when I landed with the 33-6 in my 20s, I was like, that makes more sense. And because of the master numbers, I just knew it landed for me really well. So, it's a wild ride.
Yes. And actually, so maybe 5% of the population would be 33s, if that. And in fact, for the next several years, there won't be any 33s born. But at one point, 33% of my waiting list was 33s. It's really interesting because my married name has a 33 energy. Actually, I do have quite a lot in my chart as well as being an 11 life path. But I think most of all, I like people who are extreme. It's kind of, I have sensory stuff, and my special interest is people who don't just push the boundaries. They kind of block, they don't exist. What boundaries? I can't spell that. So I just love people like that. They inspire me. Infuriate/inspire me. And so I just love to study people who, absolutely love what they do. And you're obviously totally in that bracket. So if we go back a step, words, names, addresses, places can all be reduced down to a number. For the system is A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, which is all on my site, seriep.com. And some of the 33 words are super interesting. So one of them is priest, one of them is rock star, one of them is teacher. And a lot of 33s have a platform. It's a stage or a platform or a podium. You've already actually touched on some of these qualities. Quite a lot of celebrities, actors, directors, musicians have this number. That's not to say that if you have the number, you have to be those things. But you will naturally, as I mentioned before, you will naturally blow the whistle. And so the sooner you get comfortable with being, I suppose, this trigger, the sooner you'll start to receive more of the benefits of the life path rather than the pushbacks. And that moving through the terror barrier is so important. And what we know from this type of system where the life path number is a turning point is that the numbers in your life path are important ages in your soul contract. And that is also how you can figure out which life path you are. If you're not sure, you go back through your life and you see what happens. Now, we know from your chart, like I said, you're a 33/6, but in some systems, you're a 15/6. Now, we talked before the call about some changes that had happened to you at 6, 15, and 33. Did you want to give just even like a broad idea of what happened? Because this is your life's journey in a nutshell.
Yeah, well, firstly, I want to say very interesting that priest and rock star are 33s, but the teacher is very interesting because in the astrology deacons, I'm born in the week of the teacher. So there's each sign has deacons, and then there are these weeks that are condensed down to 7-day periods. So the week that I'm born in, being May the 9th, is the week of the teacher. And I remember back when I was a teenager, I thought that was so boring because some people are like the cusp of magic and the, you know, the sexy one or something like that, the mystic, and they had all these things. And I was like, oh my God, I'm the week of the teacher and I'm born in the year of study. And I was just like, oh, this is so boring. That, and I didn't know that 33 was a teacher, and 33 I know is a master teacher, and so that's why the 33 really landed for me too, as being that master teacher. And it's something that I've always done. I've always been on stage. I've always been the leader. And it's funny, like for me, I have always triggered people. I mean, my own birth mother gave me up because I was a very huge trigger, and this was at around this sort of 4 to 7 age. So yes, is in there. So that was the first turning point for me, where I was, you know, only with my father. It was just me and my father for a couple of years because my mum walked out. And so I have always had that trigger, and I've always been sort of audacious, but I've always been authentic. And I haven't had to, you know, it's not something for me to just like, I did a lot of this sort of work my whole life, but especially in my 20s. And I'm not someone who is going to dull myself down and quiet myself so everyone else feels comfortable. I'm like, oh, that's fucking boring, right? It's what you're saying. You like those people that don't do that. And that's cool. And I do too.
The people who can't spell boundaries. So if I can just take you back one step, just to confirm. So around 6, because of course this will be to do with the third eye, you know, you realized, you know, there was going to be something different about the way you lived your life. And then at 15,
I ran away from home at 15, and then I was pregnant at 16.
Wow. And so this is super interesting only because the first thing you mentioned was your mum, the baby leaving, and then of course 15, 16, the mum, the baby reuniting, you know, in some ways with your inner child. Because did you have a daughter at that age?
Yes, yeah, I've got 3 daughters.
Amazing, like reunion, you know what I mean? Like you've kind of had to go within yourself to claim that love, which is huge. You know, to be a 16-year-old mother certainly is to blow the whistle on society's views on sex and morality and all those things. And you know, of course, threes hate criticism, but at the same time, if they don't find a way to live with it, they cannot bloom.
I love that too, because I've got my moon in Cancer, and I'm loving this conversation so much. We could literally talk for hours, because
I think we should totally do that, but we should do it in increments so that people's computers don't blow up, because then we'll just get big bills all the time.
True.
People can just take photos of the smoke coming out of their PCs. Can I just tell you, I had a computer actually set itself on fire.
Oh my God.
No, really. I wrote an email and it was so inflammatory. It was about this bully. And he walked towards the computer. It was at the United Nations, seriously. He walked towards the computer and my friend was reading this letter about how I was being harassed. And she's like, oh my God, the letter's on the computer. He's walking towards it. And then the computer just went on fire.
It doesn't surprise me. It does not surprise me.
Therefore, that's probably why we should do this in bite-sized increments.
Definitely. Yeah, but I love that, the hating criticism. But like you said, you didn't just say you hate criticism. You're like, but when you can push through that, that's when you can blossom.
Use the block as a brick, because, you know, the criticism, essentially, this is part of the teacher-student journey, don't you think? Because the student, it's easy for a student to criticize their teacher, and it's easy for a child to criticize. It's easy. In fact, society kind of encourages it because it creates this constant friction that prevents us from really evolving. It's a sad thing, actually, but The teacher in a way has to be bigger than that. The parent in a way has to be bigger than that. And that is a tough gig.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I've got my moon in Cancer. So there is this element of sensitivity. But I like what you said earlier too about the 33 being able to sort of push their own boundaries and be true to themselves, which is, like I always say, the actual only thing I am good at is being who I am. I haven't had to strip back. A lot of people like, oh, I woke up at 28 or at 32 or something. I'm like, oh no, that's been my whole life. I have not suppressed who I am to fit into society or suppressed who I am to make you happy. Like, that's never been my problem. I haven't had to deal with that in this lifetime. But I love the way that you've explained the 33 and how by actually being open to that and moving through that, you're really then blossoming in the positives of the 33 and not sort of being stuck in the negative. So I love that. It was awesome. So perfect.
Thanks. I mean, the timing is super important, because you see with this system again, the number is when you tip past the student into kind of professor. So, if you're 6 at 15, you would know your purpose essentially, and you would be able to share all the hacks. And in this system, because I consider you a 33, having known many 33s, I definitely peg you as a 33. By the way, 33 is the same vibration as angelic, which is cute. So cute. 2022 is Buddha and 11 is Jesus. That's not to say one is better than the other, but they're very different ways of moving people around. And the 3 is very much team, like 11. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is the Jesus and Buddha energies is still this kind of figurehead. But I feel like when you start working with angelic realms or even star people, it's very much about constellations and moving you. And of course, astrology, here you are. So it's, anyway, let's go back. So 33, what was going on for you around 33?
Yeah, so I mean, ultimately in my 20s, I'd done, been doing workshops and Louise Hay and Wayne Dyer, meeting all those guys, doing all the things in my very early 20s. And, I was already taking meditation classes in my late 20s. But 33 is Christ consciousness, and your 33rd and a 3rd birthday. So that 33rd and a 3rd birthday is a really amazing birthday. And the 33 for me, knowing that I was a 33, there was just this alignment. I've always known my purpose. It's never not been my purpose, but the 33 anchored it so much more greatly that it was just like, it was amazing. 33, was different to 15, because 15 is when I run away from home and I moved.
This conversation alone is probably kind of helping you maybe to see which one you are, because of course, talking it out, we can unravel it and see which ones had, I guess, more of that benefic influence on you. But if I could just ask a few more things before we start winding up, and it does seem like we must run some kind of Days of Tiarnie series, like Days of Thunder, but Days of Tiarnie. Wear jackets and stuff.
Yes.
Like lightning strikes.
Let's be fancy. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so obviously you're doing a lot of healing here with the 3rd eye. Now, what I have personally noticed, oops, are you still there?
Yeah, you can just see that light like directly hitting my 3rd eye right now.
Yeah, that was well set up.
Yeah, I know. That wasn't an accident, obviously. And finally, I just want to also say that I do resonate with the 15 and 33, but the 15 was traumatic and the 33 was benefic, if that makes sense. The 15 had to be traumatic to really anchor me into being bold and courageous and brave enough to leave my family and run away at nighttime and catch a train. And
that's so huge.
Go and live on a mountain and just, hitchhike and do the things before I went back to my family. And then I fell pregnant. So it's really interesting that they're both relevant, but that 33 was quite significant in a very cellular way, if that makes sense. It's more of a cellular thing. And the 3 reminds me of a cell as well, actually. The 2 3s together, if you watch What the Bleak Do We Know, they look like that. That's what a cell looks like. So that's very interesting. Anyway.
You're so cool. So what I have personally experienced around 33s and 6s is they do have a reason that they've chosen that path, and almost always there is something that they are skeptical about in themselves, which they will keep hitting in other people until at some point they're like, oh, yeah, that's the juicy morsel. And so is there something that you were skeptical of or are still a bit skeptical of, and you kind of, it's like you're chewing away on it or you're working away on it?
I mean, the only thing that I think of is just like well, no, it's not skeptical because it's
that you question a lot.
Well,
You find it hard to trust.
Most fake spiritual people.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. That rip people off and do all of this sort of stuff. Like, I mean, I've been in the spiritual entertainment industry, I call it, for 20 years. And I suppose watching people just say stuff that to me is just like not true, and or people have tried to read for me or like channel my dad and do all this sort of shit, and they've been so far off, and it's like, no mate, that's not right.
Oh,
so
man.
My skepticism
reading for you would be epic. It would be big stuff.
I know myself and I know my chart, so it's a very hard. I've never gone and seen a reader because I would never do that. So I suppose. But then trusting my own psychic abilities. I am a very pragmatic, practical person, and I think that that's why I love astrology, is it's so energetic and so magical, but we can use it. And whereas when we give power away to people, go, oh, I'm picking up on this, like that can be great, but I'm about the work, let's do the work. We're humans, let's anchor it in and let's do it. So it's not, I suppose the word skeptical is a good word, but I've been proven right so many times. But in saying that, darling, I think that in saying that, it's not dismissive, because I know a lot of people that are very good, you included. So it's not that I'm dismissing it. It's actually, like you said, it's actually pointing me more towards my own self as well, to go, hey, you're really intuitive and trust yourself more. Sometimes that can be it for me. Like, you're actually really intuitive and trust yourself more. So sometimes, that can be the lesson.
That sounds a bit past lifey. I was going to say, did you just say have you had someone do your astrology?
Oh, look, not really. I mean, I was learning my astrology with teachers and friends and stuff in my 20s. I have paid for one astrology reading with an amazing astrologer in the United States. And I absolutely love him. And yeah, he revealed a few decent things. I think it's just very hard to reveal things to me because I know a lot of stuff, and it's not coming from ego. It's just, it's hard. Like, and I have to surrender sometimes. Like, I've had a liquid crystal reading before. And I was sort of like, oh, yeah. And as soon as I started taking the liquid crystal that she prescribed to me, which was silver, which is about trust and the feminine, and that silver grows like this. You can't contain it. The silver has to grow its own way. And I took that, and whoa. And since I've taken that, I mean, I don't think the skepticism is as critical as it was, because I did that maybe last year or the year before, but it was really beautiful. And I was like, because at first I was like, oh yeah, maybe I need that. Like, maybe I'm not that. And I sort of was like, yeah. And then when I took it, the silver, I was like, wow, now I get it. So I think sometimes that can be it for me as well. Like, I think I know until I don't, and then I do. And I'm honestly the first person to like call myself out on my own shit. Like, if I'm being a fucking arrogant asshole, I will call myself. And if I'm like, I've just openly shared this with whoever you're sharing this with. I mean, that was quite a deep question, to be honest. And I could have just skimmed over it and gone, oh no, I'm not scared. But that's been the truth for me in this 20 years, 21 years, 22 years, whatever, in this industry. So that's the actual raw truth of it, but it is a reflection on how I deal with certain things too. So it's been quite the journey, and it is something that I've really opened to. So
wow, that was such a great answer. That was like perfect answer for the 33s watching. That is such a gift. Thank you so much. And just to share my background, so I am a scientist. I have an honours degree in chemistry, actually, in polluted water, which you could say is toxic feelings. And I know a lot about those. The ones that you bury underground hoping that they will just go away after like 500 years. No, they don't. So my background is science and academic, so super academic child prodigy. And so I am like, full skeptic, and I still am. So you may or may not know this, Tiarnie, but I do 3 readings for every reading. So before a reading, I actually do a reading. I do a meditation. I do the whole chart by hand. I rehearse what I'm going to say. After the reading, I do like a full download. I do a 1-page fill out. I do a tarot card spread, because I think my skeptic is so strong that sometimes it actually crushes my intuition. So I have really strong, sometimes laborious structures to keep the doors open. And I personally love people who are skeptical. I'd much rather work with them. You saying all that makes me want to work with you more. And I was going to start talking now about the things that you do. But I think it's incredibly healthy to have an ego. In fact, in numerology, ego has the same vibration as love, and you need an ego to protect love from just being scattered or distracted or psychopathed out of its true nature. And I wanted to share a little bit of the word magic I do. So obviously there's the words empath and psychopath. We hear that all the time in like the new age industry. And I see pictures. So when I see empath, I see me throwing myself headlong along the path. Hair flying out, of course. And then psychopath, I see someone who's trying to psych you off your path. And then for me, that takes the sting out of it. I'm like, oh yeah, the empath's just going for it. The psychopath's standing there going, boo, boo, boo.
Yeah, interesting. I like
and then
that.
I guess my idea, being an 11 and trying to find the middle way between extremes, is just to be the path and have days of this and days of that. And of course, within every empath is a psychopath, you know, some part of them that is really unkind to themselves or allows themselves to be exploited. And within every psychopath, I would guess, is some sort of really hurt, wounded empath. Which is that yin yang. So if it's okay, can we start talking about your stuff? And then I know you have to go look after your beautiful little people. Well, they're not that little, but you know, mothers, right?
Not as little as yours, anyway.
But mine are very little and very cute.
Very little.
Yes, it's true. Okay, so let's talk about you. Is that okay? So
yes.
I have purchased the wonderful 2020 Energies 5 Guide kit, and it's got a lifetime worth of love in there. That is something epic, lady. I mean, I won't show off all your good work, but like,
it's 200 pages.
This is what we call value for money.
Yes, I know. I brought it along too. So it is. It's like
good on you.
pages. Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm hoping at some point that you'll have some sort of series where you take people through the chapters, like the artist by Julia Cameron, but maybe that's, you know, for when you have 5 versions of yourself. Yeah, so that's a beautiful, amazing kit that's out. I've had a reading with you as well. And that was amazing and covered a lot more than I was able to absorb in one session, but I have the recording, which is what made it really good. And I have to be honest, people say the same thing about my sessions.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have had very basic readings. So it's like massage. People think a massage is someone rubbing your shoulders, and then they go and get a lomi for 2 or 3 hours, and they're like, what was that? That's like an out-of-body experience. And the same thing with a reading. They're used to you getting 1 or 2 things right, maybe your name and how much the reading cost. And then they have a reading where you're getting 25 things right. The brain is just like, danger, danger, danger. Yeah. And so I've noticed, part of it is actually like making it accessible, taking breaks, breathing. And I noticed we have a similar reading style in terms of we just like do.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing with astrology. There's so much to cover. I mean, in 1 hour to 90 minutes or 90 minutes, you know, I've spent 2 hours prepping the session and being, you know, actually embodying your chart and diving in and going where I need to go for that session. And it's always just going to be the tip of an iceberg with astrology. Yeah. Astrology takes decades, ages to understand, but then we need to activate and embody our own charts. So I do have Mercury in Gemini, so I do talk quick and I do have a lot of things to say. And I want to give, you know, a lot of information so that you can go back, and because you're going to hear different things. I literally just got a message then saying, oh, I just re-listened and I didn't get half of that on the actual thing. So, you know, and that's because so much is being downloaded, and we're in a portal, as you know, when you're reading for someone, you're in your own sort of channeling portal. So a lot's coming through, but often the person is like, okay, that was a lot. I don't know what to say right now, but I'll watch the video and we'll go from there. And yeah, you know, it's just my passion. And
I think we read a bit similar.
And that's why I make these kits, because I'm booked out until like May of next year for one-on-ones. So these kits give you me in a 200-page nutshell. I've gone through Chinese astrology, the personal numerology years, you know, I've done a little bit of numerology too, and just a collective overview, oracle spreads, Mercury retrograde spreads, you know, monthly information. So I've just like tuned into each month. So I've already lived 2022. So I've tuned into each month and just given a beautiful big, like literally, this is May of next year. It's too
I know. It's actually like time travel. I feel like you're sort of this like Brisbane Doctor Who.
And the time travel thing, Sarah, is huge. Now, I just want to really quickly say, in the liquid crystals, we work with the tree of life, and there's 11 cities, right? And so we spend a certain amount of time in each city. And of course, my best city is city 11. It's where I spent the longest and I got the highest mark. Like, I got graded, right? And city 11 is the parallel city in the tree of life. It's the city that's not physical, it's not tangible, it's the in between. And of course, that's the one that I did. And it's funny, with my own skepticism, I actually have to time travel. I mean, I use astrology as a very strong tool, but then I channel out my paragraphs, because this isn't a book that gives absolutely every single aspect every day, because that's for the layman. That doesn't really do anything, to be honest. Like, it's great and it's great for astrologers, but I like to give that, again, grounded, organic, pragmatic, practical tools, but it's still sprinkled with the magic, because I did have to time travel to fucking do it, like, that's just where it's at. So
if I could kind of sum it up, so basically, just like numerology and with astrology, it's a language, and you could learn a language for the rest of your life: how to do the perfect A, how to do the perfect B, how to get all of the right grammar. You could do that if you really wanted to, or you could trust someone to lead you into some improvised haiku and create some limericks. And so this is where the trust is so important in the facilitator of the modality. And so for me, I often say to people, actually, the work is done on the call. A lot of them will go back and watch it, and that's okay. But I say like 99% is just being on the call, spending that amount of focused energy on your purpose and calling in everything you need to call in.
Very true.
So that's your kit. We know you also have some courses. You have, I think, events. Sometimes you do readings, but of course, like you said, you're booked out for six-ish months.
Yeah.
And what else would you like to talk about before we start winding up?
Well, obviously everything's on my website. So you can go to my website or sign up to my emailing list, and that's where you'll get all of my things. Like, all of my things come through my email. I'm actually currently putting together a 2022 astrology panel that Sarah actually spoke as a bonus interview as the numerology, and we had a great time chatting last week, didn't we, babe?
Oh, it was amazing. Do you know, as you've probably figured out from today, there's a lot of people helping me on the call who are not necessarily people, but more like friends. And I think it might be time for you to go, because at exactly 2:45 they were just like, shush. And I went, we're going to need to wind up, because otherwise you're going to see me go a bit purple. So let's sum it up. So Tiarnie, amazing, 33-6 life path, being so generous with your life story. I'm so grateful. I know that your words are going to heal people left, right, center. Just them watching this is going to be amazing. I hope that you've personally found something, helpful in this process of exploring. It would be really great to do, more chats with you at some point. Just thanks for being around.
Absolutely. And I would love to have you in. I have a 12-month container that I hold, and I'd like to talk to you about maybe having a chat in that. That would be a really wonderful gift for everyone, for you to share.
Mother of young children, not going anywhere for a very long stretch of time.
For a very long time, yes.
So Tiarnie, can you tell us your website, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, if you know them?
So just my website's just tiarnie.com.au. I've got a podcast called Tiarnie Talks, which more stuff will be starting to go on, because I am Tiarnie Talks, and then I don't do podcasts. So
are you able to spell that out just for the people who might not have?
So my name is Tiarnie, and then just Talks on the end of it, TALKS, if you need to write that. And that's the same for my Instagram. I'm Tiarnie Talks on Instagram. And YouTube, I'm Tiarnie. So it's always just Tiarnie. I mean, I think there's like one other famous chick that's called Tiarnie. So she's really annoying, because as soon as you put my name in, old, annoying, young actually, like I think she used to be on Home and Away, or maybe she's a singer or something. So it's spelled exactly the same. But I'm the OG Tiarnie. There's no Tiarnie spelled like me, older than me. This was, my parents actually got my name channeled to them when they were watching like Geronimo, so the Native Americans.
That's amazing.
Daughter was called Tiarnie, and that was where my name came from.
That's
but anyway,
incredible.
So just Google me and you'll find me. I'm everywhere.
I will put all your details in the links. I will upload this to all my channels. I hope that you get lots and lots of cool people come to you, and conversely, I hope that some of your people will come and have a look at my website, Sarah.
I hope so.
Facebook, the Numbers Queen, Instagram, Sarah 1111. I have a page on 1111 that has articles, videos. It's just literally like a global center. I have a page called Find Your Life Path with, again, videos and blogs. I have a lot of listing of all the famous people with each life path, and that is all free. I have my Patreon as well if you want to learn, or of course sessions, which for me I booked out a few months in advance because, you know, like I said, mothers, we need to plan.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it'll be great. And I will share this with my community too once you give me the link, and we can just share all the love, all the numbers and all the astrology, and it just marries up like magic.
Friends.
Yes.
So despite all of the strange things that happened at the beginning of this interview, it appears that we have successfully completed our mission, and we are pinky promising to come back to you again at some point with our special alien intelligence. Yes. Thank you so much, Tiarnie. Please go pick up your special people, and I will go do the same with mine.
My absolute pleasure. That was amazing. Thank you.
You too. 1111 peace signs.
Bye.
Bye.